morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, January 21st, 2016. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Russian President Vladimir Putin was likely personally responsible for approving the fatal poisoning at a posh London hotel of a former KGB operative who had become a UK intelligence agent. This is according to a very highly anticipated British inquiry conducted by the government that was released today. The conclusion comes about 10 years after Alexander Litvinenko succumbed to the effects of the radioactive polonium slipped into his cup of green tea at the London Millennium Hotel. The inquiry found that the two men who deliberately poisoned Litvinenko were almost certainly working on behalf of the Russian intelligence agency, the FSB. Both of the assassins remain in Russia. One is a businessman, the other is a member of the Russian parliament. The inquiry's findings, laid out over 328 pages, said that Putin had a personal motive for wanting Litvinenko dead, and that the president would have had to have had approved such a high-stakes operation to assassinate the former KGB operative in London. The assassination has been described by people in the British Parliament as, quote, a miniature nuclear attack on the streets of London. No comment yet from President Putin. A colossal winter storm is certain now to bring heavy snow to the U.S. East Coast, the northern part of the East Coast, into the Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Charlotte, North Carolina, and New York area. Washington, D.C. apparently is going to be the epicenter of the storm and may get as much as 2 feet of snow. This will all start on Friday afternoon and last until very early Sunday morning. Having lived in Washington, D.C. for 10 years, if Washington, D.C. gets 2 feet of snow this weekend, you won't hear from anybody in Washington until the spring. 73 million people are in the severe weather advisories throughout the eastern part of the country. Travelers Insurance has reported a further deacceleration of U.S. property and casualty commercial premiums. They said that their key rating indexes are now close to flat. Their operating income fell 13% in the fourth quarter. They're saying that their renewal rate increases were only 0.6% for the fourth quarter. They also noted that there was a deterioration in price increases for middle market business, with rates up only 0.1% compared to 1% in the preceding quarter and 1.7% in the corresponding period in 2015. Travelers Group net written premiums for the quarter were largely flat year on year at about $5.8 billion. The fire that engulfed a 63-story hotel, one of the high-rises in Dubai on New Year's Eve, was started by an electrical short circuit. The blaze turned the Address downtown Dubai hotel into a spectacle that rivaled the city's fireworks display. Fortunately, nobody was killed, 14 people were injured. The short circuit occurred in a bright light that's used to illuminate the building's exterior. There's concern, apparently, over the cladding panels that are used on the outside of the shiny buildings in Dubai. A lot of them, experts are saying, are flammable. The 2012 fire that destroyed Tamwil Tower was in part caused by these panels because they act as fuel for the flames. A government-owned newspaper estimates that up to 70% of the skyscrapers in Dubai are covered in these flammable panels. Analysts have now become cautious about the future of Zurich Insurance after its price dipped by more than 10% yesterday on the Swiss stock exchange. According to Zurich, they had experienced a very high level of large current accident year losses in the fourth quarter related to a large credit and surety loss. The company issued a profit warning yesterday morning. One analyst in particular, Sami Tapoulas at Berenberg, says that the company faces a rocky road. He said management appears content to tackle the problems that the company is facing through only rate increases, selective underwriting, and an acceleration of ongoing cost cutting. He said that that's not enough. He said fundamental change is required at Zurich. He also poured cold water on Zurich's agreed acquisition of the U.S. crop insurer RCIS from Wells Fargo, saying he couldn't see that the deal was appealing. That particular deal is going to cost Zurich out of pocket as much as about $1 billion, but it's going to make that much back by taking a whole quota share agreement that the company has That comes to about $780 million a year. Mustafa Kak, a 55-year-old businessman in Turkey, he's the chairman of the Turkish conglomerate Kak Holding, died earlier today after a very sudden heart attack. His businesses range from energy to automobiles to banking, and they account for about 10% of Turkey's national output and include about 5 of the country's 10 largest companies. President Erdogan contacted Mr. Kak's father and his brother by phone to express his condolences. An Egyptian affiliate of the Islamic State apparently has claimed responsibility today for the killing of 5 policemen at a checkpoint in the western Sinai Peninsula. The attack took place at midnight in the city of El Arish, also wounded 3 other police. The assault came as security forces across the country are now bracing themselves for the January 25th anniversary of the 2011 uprising that toppled longtime President Hosni Mubarak. We'll keep an eye on that over there. Meanwhile, in the United States, since there has not been any major snowstorm this year yet on the east coast of the country, it has now become snowmageddon. Everybody's very concerned, stocking up on water, filling their cars with gasoline, etc., etc. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.